Hey, you're here just in time. It's time for Ham Nation, a show all about amateur radio and all of the fun that we have in this glorious hobby and service. And speaking of service, this, of course, shown live on Veterans Day. So a big salute to all of our veterans, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the show. And also, we've got a really cool honor coming to one of our own. Find out who it is next on Ham Nation. Ham Nation is brought to you from LastPass Studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? LastPass can ensure that they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether employees are working in the office or remotely. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by Icom. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation. This is Ham Nation, episode 479 for November 11th, 2020. George Thomas, Homebrew Hero 2020.
Good evening, everybody. It's Bob Heil, K9EID, and I have a whole host of wonderful people with us tonight. And remember, this is Armistice Day. We have to pay tribute to those that went and fought for us all, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But first of all, we have Gordon West with us. Hi, Gordo. How are you doing out on the West Coast?
We're fine. And today we salute all of our veterans. As an American Legion a veteran myself, U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary and U.S. Army, a big salute to all our veterans.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we just have to say hello to our friend George Thomas. How are you, George?
Hi, Bob. I'm doing well, and I am not a veteran, but my father was a veteran of the Navy in World War II, and a big salute to all the vets out there.
Yeah, ditto. My father was in the Navy, and I was 4F because I had very low blood pressure. And it really didn't affect me, but I wished I could have went. I wanted to go, but they wouldn't take me. So there you go. So I went ahead and did my thing. But we're going to pay tribute to a few of those fellows here tonight. First of all, I want to bring Frank in here. Frank Howell, he's a great friend of Ham Nation and amateur radio. Frank, how are you doing? You only live a couple of miles down the road from George. Is that right?
I think QRZ says 3.2 miles. Yeah, sometimes we get the Tin Cannon string out if the Barnett Reservoir and the Pearl River is not too high.
Yeah. Well, you're here on a very special thing. You got an award for somebody. We'll get right into that. But before we do that, I want to let everybody know we're all very saddened. Yesterday, we lost a great amateur radio operator in ON4UN. John was the master. He's an unbelievable ham. I think the last I read, John has worked somewhere around 300 and I think it was 64 countries. Think about that. And he knew how to do it. And he was a big fan on 160. He had quite the signal, just a lot of antennas. And the thing is, he was such a gentleman, and he knew how to make things happen. And I just wanted to pay tribute to John and his family. So sad that we lose such a great amateur radio operator. But it happens when you least expect it. And then I also want to pay a little tribute to my late friend, W4KKP. If you missed last week, please do me the favor, and it'll be a wonderful thing for you. Go back and look at last week. We had about 35 minutes of a video that I did. Cliff was the oldest amateur radio operator. He was 109 years old, only a few weeks from 110, and he was very active. But he got caught with COVID in his home, and it was really sad. I want to do a couple of things that we didn't show last week on the video. Cliff was just such a great guy. He was so much fun and so knowledgeable, and he was quite the guy on Iwo Jima. And you want to go look at that if you didn't get to see it. He was the guy that was commissioned by a general to go build the communication system on Iwo Jima. Here are some of the pictures. Now, I didn't know this till I met him. The Japanese owned that island, and we needed to take it. And so they had to build all of these things down in trenches while the Japanese are shooting over their heads. Just think about that. They built this Quonset hut. It's down in a canyon they built. It was a Quonset hut. That's where he built his transmitters. That's his writing on the bottom of that picture he gave me. And the telephone poles were for his rhombic antennas, and they selected 12 gentlemen that were in the Army that were linemen who better to do it. But here's how they had to do this. They had to dig these trenches. Now, this is back in the 40s, so they didn't have great big caterpillars and stuff like that. And then by hand. Think about this, everybody. Think about how they won that war. I mean, they're doing this and there's bullets flying over their head. It just gives me chills to think about what they did. And these were young people. And they fought for us. And when you hear us talk about how great it was for these people to save our lives, this is what we're talking about. And a lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to some of these incredible battles they had. And Cliff told me, he said, as I left the island, I looked up and I saw a lone B-29 going overhead. And I thought, boy, that's kind of strange at one airplane. It was the Enola Gay headed for Japan to pay their respects for what they did to us at Pearl Harbor. It doesn't get any better than that story. Please go back and watch it last week and go in and put Iwo Jima into your Google searches and whatever. Read about what these people had to do to keep us all safe. And that's the big part for me. And your fathers, your grandfathers, and all these people that gave their lives to all of us. So you'll see it on your screen how you can go find the last week. And if you have not seen it, do so. Bring your neighbors in. Let them see what amateur radio did to win the war, because so many have. And in closing, I will give you this little thought. It was, of course, that one bomb from the Enola Gay. The pilot of the Enola Gay was a ham. The pilot was a ham. And his mother's name, by the way, his name was Paul Tibbet. Paul Tibbet. His mother's name was Enola Gay. So it doesn't get better for me, I'll tell you. So we're going to get on with the program, but I just had to pay respects to some of these veterans, and I want each of you to sit and ponder some of this later on tonight as you go to bed, because those are the people that made America happen. Otherwise, we'd all be singing in Japanese. True story. Frank Howell, you're another great American. You're a great ham radio operator. You do so much for this hobby, and you're always behind the scenes. And I want you to come on with us tonight and tell us about this thing you've been working on about the hometown heroes. Good to see you, Frank.
Well, good to see you, Bob, and what a great tribute you've given. And as my namesake, my grandfather, my name's Frank Mobley Howell. His name was Frank Mobley. He was a doughboy in World War I. He was gassed with mustard gas in the Battle of Marne. He came home a morphine addict. That's how they treated that. Very, very common thing. And he was a banker. And when he died, when I was 4, in a little small town, Tennille, Georgia, they literally closed the town down to celebrate what Pop, as people call Frank Mobley, did. And so I thank you for your tribute there. And I will go back and look at it again, and I'll encourage others too. The Homebrew Heroes award program is something that Martin Butler, M1MRB, and Colin Butler, his son, M6BOY, the publishers of the ICQ podcast, which I work on. We created this from our visit to Xenia and Hamvention, and I made just a passing comment that, wow, look at all this stuff people are building here. There's some real homebrew heroes here. And somehow that came out of my mouth, and we all three looked at one another and said, we really need to lift this up. I had no idea that Bill Miro, Solder Smoke, had actually coined that phrase several years before. I found that out just a few months ago. So we're in our second award last year. Hans Summers, G0 UPL, originally from Britain, now lives in Turkey, of QRP Labs. He was our first award winner. And I'm going to let Gordo and Video kind of lead this in, if you will. Victor, if you'd play those first 2 clips just consecutively, I think we'll get to the heart of this matter.
To my knowledge, in 60 years of ham radio, I don't remember special awards for home brewing.
Well, and there you have it. As Hugh Grant said when he got in trouble once, he said, I did a bad thing. There you have it. So George has done a lot of good things. And when we look at, we have an anonymous selection committee, and we talk to people, and they talk to people, and George's name just kept coming up over and over and over again. We're saying, I learned so much from that guy on Ham Nation. Or, that guy that does this video amateur logic, and just over and over and over, we kept hearing that. When you look at the body of work that George Thomas has given to amateur radio for 15 years with the first video podcast, he and his associates, Tommy Martin and Jim Burrell, and a number of others from really around the world, he has continued for 15 years or more to educate the world and anybody who listened through the first video podcast about homebrewing and building things and very practical, things, as well as the fundamental principles. I'm a retired professor. I've had a career of 45 years, and I've won teaching awards. I think I can say who's a good teacher, and George is an excellent teacher. And the way he teaches doesn't get over people's heads. And I think that's a very, very instrumental part of what he does. He joined you, Bob, and Gordo on Ham Nation a number of years ago. And I think, Bob, you said it became, the Smoke and Solder segment became one of the most popular segments, and in large measure because of what a creative and innovative teacher he is. So our ham site, homebrewheroes.org, went live on Sunday. And George Thomas, W5JDX, sporting his, we can't afford a cape yet. We might be able to afford a cape one day, but we do have embroidered shirts that are customized, and we do give a plaque. And there you go, Victor. Thank you. And so George Thomas is our homebrew hero for 2020. And Gordo, now Gordo, you know how you do that pickle thing where you light that pickle up? What I want to do tonight is, can we embarrass George enough so he turns red enough that he will light up like a light bulb? That's really what's going on here. George is such a modest guy. He doesn't take praise very, very easily, and it's so well deserved. So George is our homebrew hero this year, and we are just very, very excited, George.
Well, thanks, Frank, and everyone with homebrewheroes.org site and ICQ podcast. I was not expecting this. It came totally out of the blue to me. And let me just say, when I started doing this 15 years ago with my friends, I wasn't trying to teach anybody anything. It was more like, here, hold my soldering iron and watch this. That was the goal. I was just doing some things that I thought other people might enjoy seeing, and why not share it? And we decided to start doing it. And since then, for some reason, they keep watching, and we keep coming up with stuff. Same here with Bob and Gordo and everyone in Ham Nation. We're just having a good time, and why not share it? If I can inspire somebody to build something, to get started, maybe try something they've never tried before, then I'm all for it, because you're never going to finish that project if you don't start it.
Indeed. Well, I think some of the best teachers are those that don't presume to know. They just sort of share, as in, hold my soldering iron and watch this. So I think that's a hallmark of great teaching. And folks, I'm just honored to be here with you. This program is I think almost 10 years. Is that right, Bob? I think you're approaching a decade. You've made a tremendous impact on amateur radio, not just here in the U.S., but really around the globe, especially in the English-speaking world. And so I want to congratulate you for what you've done. And it's just been a great experience that all of us hams get from Ham Nation. And I hope you're proud of your homeboy here, George, winning another award to go with his award at Dayton. And so I will close with this. He gave a talk to my local club, and he was showing Arduinos, and he did a very clever and innovative ending. He had his sensor tell everybody his rig was on fire. And so his friend Jimmy Burrell's taken abuse over these years for letting the propane torch maybe get a little out of hand. And so Jimmy thanked me for publishing that so he doesn't catch as much heat, if you'll accept that pun. So George set his rig on fire and channeled his inner Jerry Lee Lewis, another neighbor of ours, in fact. Guys, thank you for having me on. And we certainly want to congratulate George and congratulate you. And it's just a real honor for me to be, as we say here in the South, up in here amongst you.
Wow, Frank, you did it. Thank you so much. George, how do you feel?
Let me see. About the same.
His wife will keep him in check like most ex-YLs do. So, guys, 73 to you. I know you got a lot of things to do tonight. And thank you for having me on to help announce this award for George.
Thank you so much, Frank. And Frank, you've done so much in commercial broadcasting yourself. This is a real honor having you aboard. Bob, maybe back to you.
I got something for you.
Wow! Woo! What a finale. George, over to you.
Just for
Am
you,
I
George.
as red? Am I as red as Bob's coat?
You deserve it, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Just congratulations from all of Ham Nation viewers and listeners. as well as folks like Frank. We're so honored to have you as our lead man on building our next homebrew project. Thanks, Frank.
And everyone associated with this. I will try to live up to it, but Hans set the bar mighty high. We'll have to see what we're going to do over the next 12 months, though, and hopefully coming up with some fun projects.
Okay, thanks so much again, Frank and George. Well, we're going to do a little home brewing ourselves. We've heard lately from a lot of students throughout the country that they've been home brewing their first HF station mobile. So I thought we'd take a look at getting on the air HF mobile. Of course, you can do it portable almost with a BioWinnow battery. This one's about 12 ampere hours, but it'll easy power an Icom transceiver. But Victor, congratulations on your new child, and let's go ahead and take a look. Well, this is the K400. This mount is sort of the premier of mounts to get an HF antenna or even a tall VHF, UHF antenna on board. It's called the K400, but you've got to be careful on how you select that mount. Well, what do you mean careful? Well, do you want it to accept a 3/8 24 thread whip like many ham sticks or the old Outbackers or many of Charlie's High-Q antennas or many of the other antennas that terminate to a 3/8 24 thread? Or do you want that antenna mount to take an SO239 and be able to screw in what would be some of the diamond antennas and others for VHF and UHF? So when you order the K400, be sure and say, is it for a 3/8 24 or, as we see here, an SO239, which they call the K400C Charlie. And that's one of the diamond antennas. That's really a nice performer and a predictable one. Well, it's predictable as long as you, first of all, throw away the little wedgie that goes between the 4 set screws. That little wedgie prevents a nice solid ground, and that's what you want. No one's going to see that you've dogged it down to the inside of your roof, and make that the trunk lid roof of your vehicle. And they are reset back far enough that if you have a nice thick trunk lid that's made of metal, it'll work just fine. But the one thing you got to watch out for, if you've seen my earlier video that Julian N6JF did, that little dealie in the middle, that's to keep it nice and steady. But be cautious, because if your trunk closes a little lower than the surrounding area of the vehicle, you'll know it. So you may need to bend that back just a little bit. So cautiously close it for the first time. Now, here we see the great Tar Heel antennas. And these are motorized antennas that work great. Down on 75 meters, they need that little coil. And what that coil does is it raises the impedance to 50 ohms. Without the coil, on some installations, it won't happen. And the coil doesn't come with a mount. You've got to do it yourself. But it's not a big deal to do it yourself. Wind it around your middle finger about 15 turns, and it goes from the hot part of the mount down to chassis or vehicle ground. And the coil is almost invisible on some of the higher channels. You don't want to do the coil, though, if you're doing a VHF, UHF antenna. Nope, that just wants to see the mount. Here's the one that will get you in trouble, but in some cases make things easy. It is the SO239 base. That you would screw a coax connector into, and a 3/8 24 threaded appears to be copper in the center. And you think, well, that's some like magically affixed. It is not magically affixed. It's like somehow pressed in there. and you hang a big 3H24 antenna on it, and it will unimpress. Plus, many folks forget to use this. Wow, what's this little washer doing? Well, first of all, it's upside down. You need to turn it 180 degrees. And what it does is it keeps that copper center to accept a 3H24 threaded antenna like a ham stick in place. So if you do a ham stick, it's going to be fine. If you do a lightweight outbacker, it's going to be fine. But if you do a big mama antenna, it's going to pull out, and all you're going to see is just the bottom section sort of hanging on. So that's something to think about. Well, it's a great, easy way to get on the air, especially on a, let's say, a truck mirror mount. It's a great way to lose your very valuable antenna. If you got a big loading coil, it's going to pop that center right on off, and it's history. Here is an 18-wheeler, nice installation. He's got the smaller tar heel. It will do fine. But if he had the real big tar heel, goes down to 75 meters, big coil, that tar heel could very easily work out of that mount. So there's a better way to go if you've got a big, heavy antenna, and that is if your vehicle has a mount like this. This is actually the hinge of a van. The hinge, believe it or not, is a good DC ground. You may want to go ahead and, with a ground strap, ground the door to the main part of the vehicle just to make sure it's a good solid ground. But you can homebrew your own. And this is an L bracket made out of aluminum. The area just below the L bracket's got all sorts of goo. That's high voltage television tube goo. George will tell you where you can get it because I can't find it anymore. But that's a big, huge high Q mount that will not disintegrate or pull out or anything like that. And again, the L bracket you can make yourself. You can also do a mount like this, and notice that they've got the chokes on it to keep any RF. This mount many times will load up quite nicely on many of the ham bands. However, it really would like to see the ground right there at the same level that the antenna begins. So some folks have to actually ground the top part of this neat little bracket to get the antenna to resonate properly. Many of the new antenna automatic tuners from Tar Heel work just great. But sometimes, just depending as to the installation and the SWR, you think, oh, gosh, it's not good. No, it's a good deal from Tar Heel. It's your mount that may not be good. So first thing you want to do is take a look and see what the SWR is. I'd get a little further away with that analyzer, but nonetheless, that's a great way to tell. What you're looking for is a sharp resonant point. Here we are on 40 meters, and as you can see, wow, that's a nice looking pattern. So that's going to resonate quite nicely. You can get less turns on the coil by adding a capacity hat to the top of those tunable antennas. Whether the high Q, either manual or automatic with a tuner, the deal is the capacity hat at the top will minimize 3 to 5 turns on the coil below. And I've seen folks with 2 capacity hats that tend to minimize the number of turns on the loading, the center loading of that particular antenna. So there is the installation of all installations. It's a little tough to see in all the photo here, but here's a Jeep, and this fellow was out at Dayton, and he's got a capacity hat on the tip top. I bet he can work 75 meters with a commanding signal that would be almost equivalent to all base stations. So a good deal on these type of installations. But remember, be very cautious with this little guy here, because this part can just pull right out and bingo, you're off the air and your antenna's somewhere down the expressway. The new ham radio outlet catalog has on page 105. And by the way, they went all color. So this is great. Congratulations, HRO. All color, page 105, talks all about the trunk lip mounts from Diamond as well as other mounts. So we hope that if you're planning on taking your Icom rig portable or mobile using the car ground as your vehicle ground for a great ground plane, you'll use that Diamond antenna. But be sure and bring in the right cable kit. Some cable kits are about 6.5 feet long. Others are about 12 feet long. I like the longer cable kit so I can reach the transceiver in the front of the very long vehicle. So that's my story on HF. In a couple more weeks from now, Chip K7JA and I will be HF down on the beach in Huntington Beach. And believe me, when we look around, there will be nobody nearby. We probably won't even have to wear our masks, but we'll be ready just in case. But we plan to work as many of you on Ham Nation on the 20-meter or the 15-meter band on our annual Thanksgiving Day HF on the beach, unless it's blowing sand or rainy here. But, you know, Southern California, we don't get rain. But we sure get great performance from Icom America transceivers. As you can see in the background, even my little portable, I love Icom. So let's go ahead and see what's new with Icom America.
Ham for the holidays. Icom's newest handheld amateur radio is the ID52A. Larger radio, larger color display, and louder audio. This VHF-UHF digital transceiver is much more than a replacement for the ID51A. The color display is 2.3 inches for exceptional viewability, and the audio is 80% louder. This multifunction dual-band D-Star transceiver supports DR mode for easy access to local repeaters based on internal GPS information, as well as terminal and access point modes. The ID52A also has Bluetooth for audio and data control. The IC705 is the perfect sidekick for hams who like to enjoy what both the great indoors and outdoors have to offer. It's the perfect QRP companion, base station features and functionalities at the tips of your fingers in a portable package covering HF, 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in just over 2 pounds with RF direct sampling for most of the HF band and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz. 4.3-inch color touchscreen with live band scope and waterfall, 5 watts with the BP272, 10 watts with 13.8 volt DC external, single sideband, CW, AM, FM, as well as full D-Star functions. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information on Icom radios. And Icom invites you to enter after each episode of Ham Nation by going to ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation and register to win some great swag prizes like t-shirts and hats. And you can also learn while you're there how you might win the monthly grand prize drawing for a new radio. For November, that new radio is the Icom ID5100A dual-band, dual-watch D-Star transceiver with an intuitive touchscreen interface, DV-DV and FM-DV dual-watch receivers, built-in GPS, DV and FM repeater near-me list function, optional Bluetooth modules available, and there's Bluetooth, iOS, and an Android app available as well. So go to ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation after this and each episode of Ham Nation and register to win. Sign up, good luck, and don't forget to follow Icom America Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. Smoking solder tonight. Well, I just happened to visit a transmitter site yesterday. This one is actually, it's 3 AM transmitters on one antenna, triplex together, but there's also a lot of other stuff on that tower because it's at a convenient location, and it's how I distribute my signal to our FM and other AM stations all around the area here. So let's take a look at Tales from the Transmitter. Today on Smoke and Solder, it's Tales from the Transmitter site. What we're looking at is an AM broadcast transmitter site. The tower on the left there is the original tower. It is sitting on an insulator, and the guy wires are all made of Philly strand. They don't conduct. On the short tower to the left, you'll see 3 Yagi antennas. Those are for the 450 megahertz remote pickup. Those are used by broadcast when you're out in the field, like at a ball game or something, and you need to get the signal back to the station. The tower itself there is sitting on an insulator, as I mentioned. You can see the skirt wires going up the outside. That makes this a unipole tower. Those wires and not the tower itself are what actually radiate. As we go on up looking for something interesting, there's the first thing right there. That is a horizontally mounted 950 megahertz studio to transmitter dish. The composite FM signal is sent through that dish on out to the actual transmitter site for that FM station. This site, in addition to being a broadcast transmitter site for 3 AMs, also is a relay site for a number of FM stations. On up a little bit further, we'll find a larger one. This is a full dish right here, and you can see, well, maybe you can see the very center there of the feed point. There's a couple little vertical elements. That's telling us that is a vertical polarized antenna. A little further, and here's a much larger dish. If you can see, the elements at the end of the feed point there are horizontal. This is shooting out to a site that's much further away, and that dish has a lot more gain. Right above it, there are 3 little dishes there that are part of a Wi-Fi setup that's a link between this site and another site. Right above it is another paraflector, actually 2 paraflectors. One is mounted vertically on the left there, and the one on the right is mounted horizontally. Those are for 950 megahertz, going 2 different directions. Right above that is another set of Wi-Fi access points that shoot out to another transmitter site. You can see that line in the center there, that rigid transmission line. There's an elbow in it. That is going to an FM antenna on up at the top. That's what broadcast engineers call hardline. That's not heliax. Here is a 3-bay FM translator antenna. This is a low-power FM station, 250 watts or less, that just translates the signal from an AM station. I don't know if you can see that, but that's like 2 Vs, one inside of each other. And this is a low-power antenna, fairly inexpensive, and broadband. So we go on up. If you look in the center of all this rigmarole here, you'll see those little circular elements. Those are called rototiller style elements because of the way that they're stacked together. That is a circularly polarized antenna. And the arms that are sticking out on the left and the right with the vertical members there, those are reflectors. That is to make that antenna system an FM directional antenna system. We're blocking the signal going in certain directions. And up a little bit further, kind of hidden in the background, is a multi-bay decibel products antenna. That is used with a remote pickup unit. Actually, we call those MARTI units. That's the 450 megahertz receiver for the remote broadcast transmitters we send out in the field. It's not used that much anymore now because of the cellular data network. We have other ways. Sticking up to the left there of the tower, that pole that goes above has a 2-bay low-power FM antenna. That is like the one below, that is used for an AM translator. And there's the beacon right there in the center. Now, this is an AM broadcast tower, so the height of that tower is very important and frequency sensitive. When the owners of the tower first stuck that pole at the top and extended the length of the tower, it detuned all 3 AM radio stations that are triplexed on that tower. So we had to have a consultant come in, completely retune the setup to get things back in shape again. So there you go. That's just some of the weird things hanging off towers that you might see in your journeys. That's it. That's what's on that particular one. It's pretty well loaded down. I don't think we can put anything else on there. As a matter of fact, I know we can't, because there's 3 AM stations that are triplexed on there, and any little change you make to that tower is going to detune all 3. And if you're trying to run 3 5-kilowatt transmitters into a single antenna, it can be a little touchy. You know, everything's got to be just right and tuned properly. But, you know, the good thing is that in broadcast, we operate on fixed frequencies. So we don't have to worry about tuning the whole AM band. In this case, we've only got to have 3 ports going in for 3 particular frequencies. And we were looking at that circularly polarized FM antenna at the top of the tower there, and I said those arms out on the side, those vertical members out there, were reflectors. Actually, you'd probably call those parasitic elements, because they are out of phase with the antenna itself and cancel the signal from going out in that direction. Well, that's it. Another Tales from the Transmitter site. No solder melted here tonight, but there was plenty on the gear that's attached to the antennas at the bottom of that tower there. And now it's time for the... Yes.
Just a quick question. Is the AM signal input to the tower using the tower itself because it's insulated?
It originally was. The tower, I've forgotten how tall this one is. It's tall for an AM tower. It's around 500 feet tall, which is taller than, you know, the average AM tower. And it is sitting on an insulator, and those guy wires going up, they look like they're steel, but if you looked at them really close, you'd notice they're not. They're made out of Philly strand, which is an insulator. So the tower is sitting out there floated when it was built, and there was only 1 AM station on it. Now there are 3 operating off that same tower. So at the bottom of the tower, they've got ground straps that are bolted to the tower, or actually, I think they're soldered to the tower or welded, brazed, and that runs down to the ground system. So the tower is no longer floating. It has been grounded, and those skirt wires that go up around the outside make this a unipole antenna. In other words, they do the radiating, but the height of the tower is still critical to it. And those wires go up a certain distance, and you probably noticed that there was a wire going around those 3 going up, and it was tapped back to the tower. That's how you tune the antenna right there. You send a guy up there, and he adjusts that shorting ring up and down till he hits the right spot. And then at the bottom, you've got 3 big tuners and filters. Actually, I think it's about 6 filters there, so that you don't shoot the output of one transmitter into the other, that it only, can combine and go into the tower. So it's not something that I can adjust. We hire a consultant that specializes in that to come in whenever any work has to be done there. So you don't change anything on the tower. That's the golden rule.
Oh, that's great. Okay, thanks. It's all clear now. The guys on the side going up are the AM side. All right, back to you, George.
Okay, and the tower itself is still part of the radiating system, but it's not like, most AMs where the tower is completely floating. This one is not anymore. Well, as I said, that's it for Smoking Solder this week. I think it's time we get the man in here who knows all about the ham radio news and what's going on around the world out there. It's Don Wilbanks.
Man, thank you, George, and congratulations on the Homebrew Hero. That's very, very cool. I'm proud of you. Yeah, you reminded me of my days at KOMA in Oklahoma City back, 40 years ago almost. A 50,000 watt AM. It was a 3-tower array in the backyard there in Oklahoma City. And on Sunday nights, I typically did overnights on weekends and things like that. And on Sunday nights, we would turn the radio station off and do transmitter maintenance, weekly transmitter maintenance. And I can remember having that big Continental idling with no audio at 50,000 watts. And the engineer and I would walk out along the catwalk where that hard transmission line was. And we would get about halfway out, and the 6-foot-long fluorescent tubes that we were carrying would blink on from the RF, and we'd hang those in the fence. And I went inside the doghouse, the tuning shack there at the bottom, with that thing loafing along at 50,000 watts. And man, talk about make the hair on your arms vibrate. Just kind of weird to be in that electromagnetic field, but very, very cool memories of my career in broadcasting. Very cool stuff. 50,000 watt AM. That's a whole different animal. That's for sure. Good memories. Let's get into the news of the week now from Amateur Radio Newsline, and Dr. T's here as well with the solar update. And that's right after Newsline. From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2245, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, November 11th, 2020. Never let it be said that hams ever let their goals be thwarted, even after COVID-19 canceled such core events as Dayton Hamvention and Ham Radio Friedrichshafen this year. The massive Tokyo Ham Fair was also a casualty, but like so many others, the show went on virtually.
The virtual doors were open in Tokyo on November 1st as planned, even though no one was physically present at the Tokyo Ham Fair 2020 for the seminars and workshops. The presentations went forward, and one of them turned out to have a respectable showing in person. It was the Ham Fair's scheduled in-depth look at Summits on the Air, or SOTA. Fortunately, SOTA, by virtue of its portable and socially distant operating environment, could keep things real. The program included live stream video from 7 SOTA summits throughout Japan, where hams were busy making activations. Tom JH0CJH predicted that this activity would lead to many hams becoming new SOTA enthusiasts in Japan. Meanwhile, the Japan Amateur Radio League is back at work, making plans and deciding on dates for 2021. Hoping for the best in the year ahead. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm John Williams, VK4JJW.
For a look at some of the SOTA activations, follow the YouTube link posted in the Newsline website, arnewsline.org, in the printed version of this report. Ireland takes particular pride in the fact that it's launching its first satellite in 2021, but the team behind it is looking for some amateur radio help.
The Educational Irish Research Satellite, or AirSat-1, will be launched sometime early next year, carrying 3 science experiments on behalf of students at University College Dublin and other researchers. Hams are being asked to help out with signal acquisition shortly after the satellite's launch on the Vega rocket. In a recent visit to the South Dublin Radio Club, David Murphy, EI9HWB, and Fergal Marshall of the AirSat-1 team explained the satellite's operations and how hams can assist. Their talk is available on YouTube, where the two explain the uplink and downlink schemes and the role amateurs can play. To see the video, visit the club's website at South Dublin Radio Club, all one word, .weebly.com. Then get ready for the new year when Ireland's first satellite will make history. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
Down under, a group of Australian hams went bicycle mobile for a worthy cause.
Members of the Bendigo Amateur Radio and Electronics Group, VK3CMZ, are counting the dollars raised last month when the Barrack Pedal Radio Group took on the challenge to raise money to help the Children's Medical Research Institute fight childhood cancer. The hams' participation in the Great Cycle Challenge in October brought in about $700 and covered more than 250 kilometres. Graham Knight, VK3GRK, said that the Pedal Radio Group grew out of club members who share another great interest beyond radio, cycling for health, fitness and social activity. Graham said that the group is also a great way to increase awareness about amateur radio because the cyclists are out and about in the community and are highly visible. But don't forget radio here. During the October event, in between their rides, the Hams had QSOs on some of the local nets to let listeners and other club members know that they were on their cycles and that they were on a roll. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Robert Broomhead, VK3DN.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With John Williams, VK4JJW, Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, Robert Broomhead, VK3DN, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now, here's the solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW.
The new solar cycle continues to pick up momentum this week. As we switch to our front side sun, you can see we have 2 new bright regions on the Earth-facing disk. We have region 2780 and region 2781, and it is a monster region. It's the largest region we've seen thus far in this new solar cycle. And the thing is that this region is complex enough to fire off larger class flares, including right now 2 near M-class flares. Now, this isn't a big deal for space traffic, but guaranteed it's been causing signal fades and issues on the amateur radio bands on Earth's day side. And we do continue to have a risk, about a 15% chance for M-class flares, which means a radio blackout. And we have even a 5% chance of an X-class flare from this region. It all depends upon how it continues to grow. But these regions right now are still just kind of sizzling, not doing all that much, but we are keeping our eye on them. As we switch to our far-sided sun, now this is stereo A, and it's looking at the sun pretty much from the side. You can see region 2780 and region 2781, the bigger one in the south right there. You can see them firing off these little mini solar storms, but not all that much. It's really more of a flare issue for these regions. And then we have more regions on the sun's far side that are rotating into stereo's view. We will see if these regions are also going to be numbered sunspots, but easily they're going to continue to boost that solar flux for amateur radio operators and emergency responders. And it just looks like solar cycle 25 continues to keep on giving. For more details on this week's space weather, including how these new active regions and their increased flare activity might affect you, come check out my channel or see me at spaceweatherwoman.com.
Thank you, Dr. T. Always good stuff from Dr. Tamitha Skov. There is her website, spaceweatherwoman.com. Make sure you follow her on Twitter and also look her up on YouTube. YouTube is back up, by the way. YouTube had a pretty big outage about 2 hours ago, 2 or 3 hours ago, but they appear to be back up. Well, it's Veterans Day, so I want to thank all of the veterans who are out there watching us tonight on Ham Nation for your service. My father was a veteran, World War II in the Army, Pacific Theater. Also, all of his brothers were veterans. One story that he always told, it was one of the very few stories that my dad ever told. He was, I believe he was over in New Guinea or the Philippines, one of the two, as an Army infantryman, sitting on a fallen tree, smoking a cigarette. And he heard footsteps behind him. He turned around and saw the uniform of a United States Navy sailor. Didn't think anything of it. Okay, that's a friend, no problem. Sailor walks up to borrow a cigarette. It turned out to be his brother, my Uncle Pat. So, you know, what are the odds? That's it's really about all he ever talked about of his time in World War II. Both of my brothers-in-law, my wife Dawn's brothers, Louis and Michael, are both Navy. Louis was in Desert Storm, and Michael served on board an aircraft carrier. And today, Veterans Day, is also my brother-in-law Louis's birthday. So happy birthday, Louis, and happy Veterans Day to you. And to all of those out there watching, also I can't forget my stepdad is a Vietnam Marine and luckily still with us. So to all of you who wore the uniform of the United States Armed Forces, thank you, and God bless you all. And with that, we'll turn things over to Amanda.
Well, thank you so much, Don. I want to give a shout out to some of our Ham Nation viewers that are also vets. I asked on the chat room. I didn't get much response there. KC7FPF, thank you. USAF retired. Web 3864 veteran USAF, thanks. Dale K0HYD. I think he was Coast Guard. Is that correct?
Yep.
Anyone?
Coastie.
Yep. Okay. We got Jerry KC0CAT. We have Andy Anderson AA0WX. I think Andy, I don't want to give your branch wrong, so I'm not going to say it. KM5GT, KG5DIR. I think also his dad was a vet, and also his grandfather. So thank you all for your service. Into SQW, into KOJ Navy. So once again, thank you, Ham Nation viewers, for your service to our wonderful country here. I want to tell you, today I had a lot of fun. So I was home. I don't think I ever told anyone this. I've been in quarantine because of a possible exposure. So I've been home for like the last week. Anyhow, I've been on HF a whole lot during the day. And today I decided to run a pile up on 20 meters. And I was looking for veterans out there. And I just wanted to tell them all thank you. I ran into this really, really great guy. Whiskey 8 Romeo Uniform Echo. And I worked a lot of vets today, but this was by far the greatest. And I had a lot of fun with him. And I think as red as George turned, I think I made him turn more red. He was a radio communication specialist on B-29 bombers, if you can believe that. Wow, what an amazing job, right? So he's always up there in the air. Anyhow, at the end of our queue, so I knew I had a pile up waiting to say, come in and talk to me instead. I counted to 3 and I told them all, you need to say thank you, Bob, for your service. And I wish I would have recorded it, but I did not. And sure enough, a ton of hands came in and told this guy, thank you for your service. So it was really a fun day to be able to go out on HF and do that. And I think a lot of people enjoyed it. So, all right, let's get to some questions here. George, first of all, the first question is for you. Again, about the tower, and I think I know the answer to this because you kind of talked about it, but who replaces the red navigation light on those 500-foot towers?
Well, it's not the engineer, at least not this engineer. We hire a tower crew to do that. Fortunately, well, I say fortunately, I guess it is, all of our towers have been sold to other companies that lease them back to us, so they're responsible for the tower lighting. Now, most of these have gone away from incandescent lights now. They're using LEDs or strobes, and more they're just going with LEDs. But, those things will burn out too, and they still need maintenance.
Absolutely. Maintenance. And I'm pretty sure that all states have the same requirements, but I'm really not sure about that. In fact, one time in Colorado, they decided that any tower over 70 feet was going to need one of those navigation lights, and hams everywhere lost their minds, saying, no, we can't do that. That was rescinded. It was not voted upon, but, every state could be different on that. All right, Gordo, next question for you. Brett wants to know, what do you think of trailer hitch antenna mounts?
Okay, just before I hit trailer hitch antennas, Tower Records in Hollywood had a tower light atop their Hollywood, the round studio, and it was put up by a ham, and guess what? The tower light did this. Dit. H-I. So it just points out that whoever changes the tower lights or fix those pesky LEDs that do go out, hopefully they'll send the ham radio laugh. Did. All right, let's see. Trailer mounts are certainly good ways to get a stable HF antenna on the air. The only problem with the trailer mount is sometimes the impedance will be very low. So be thinking that you're going to need to wind your own coil to ground. And you would think, oh my God, that's going to short everything out. No, it actually brings up the impedance, especially on the lower bands. On the higher bands, it hardly sees that coil. It offers a high reactance, so it's not even there. Back to you.
Gordo?
Great.
Can
Go
I
ahead,
ask
George.
Gordo a question? Yeah, so I've got a little Tar Heel too, and it is on one of those Diamond K400 mounts. And let me say, that is the only mount like that I've ever seen that could stand an antenna that heavy.
Right.
And you do need to tighten it up, though, periodically and check and make sure that, it doesn't have slack in it. Clamp back down on that Allen screw. So I do not have the coil on the bottom there. You're saying I need 15 turns wrapped around my middle finger to to ground? Is that what you're saying?
You did not just do that.
Wow.
Well, maybe an
That's what he
alternate
said.
finger. And I don't know
Okay.
about 50 turns. Usually 5 to 10 turns will do it. But if you're making contacts on the Tar Heel on 75, don't touch a thing. And I
think
tell
what
that
you-
to all hams. I go, well, my SWR is like 1.6 to 1. I said, if you're making contacts, don't change a thing. That's the big deal. It's when a station is coming in, S8 calling CQ, and you're the only one that responds back to him, and he says, oh, I can hear someone way in the background, then yep, you got to make an improvement on your antenna. But if you hear an S4 calling CQ and he goes, oh my God, you're the loudest one on the band, don't change a thing. Back to you. And thanks again, Amanda, for putting those veterans on the air and giving that veteran a big salute.
Hey, George,
Yes.
I've got some clarification on the little Tar Heel and the little Tar Heel 2. Those are two different antennas. The little Tar Heel goes to 40 meters. The little Tar Heel 2 naturally goes to 75 because of differences in the way that the coil is wound. And so on the little Tar Heel, the original little Tar Heel, you do have that little coil of wire supplied with the antenna. On the little Tar Heel 2, it does not require it. And so you don't have that little coil. So that might be something to think about. And also, if you do have to wind your own coil, you want to make sure that you get the right diameter, and you might have to try two different sizes, the big size and the little size. So it's just
Okay. I just wanted to be sure that I heard Gordo right.
I mean, I don't want to
Apparently,
shock
maybe
people with this
not.
information, but it's something that really needs to be thought about.
Okay. Well, thanks for that, because I did not know
Certainly. That's what I'm here for.
I have no words at this point in time. I just watched George give the bird. Okay. If that didn't make you turn red, George, I don't know what will. By the way, congratulations on your Homebrew Heroes Award. Wow, what a proud moment we have for you. Just excellent and well-deserved, by the way, definitely. And you got the shirt. Oh my God, how did you do that?
Swanky.
I think that's going to be my new censored tag for George.
Oh, that was
That's a good
great.
call. You even have it. You already have an embroidered shirt and everything. So congratulations. We're really, really proud of our George there. And
Yeah.
oh,
Got a hat,
and the
too.
cap.
I have the hat
wow.
too. Yeah.
The hat.
Matching
Yep.
tie and handkerchief, perhaps?
I only got the front half of it. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I got the whole thing.
The only thing I can say is that a white shirt in home brewing do not mix mostly.
No.
Yeah.
And not this material, I don't think it's going to stand up very well to the drop solder either. It's probably going to just stick to it and burn a hole like those polyester pants we wore in the 70s.
We've all done that.
Yeah.
Either what, wearing the pants or dropping the solder? I must.
Yes.
Dropping the solder
Both.
on this material. The pants, you do want to wear them. You ask Gordo.
Yes, some pants, preferably not the polyester ones, because then you'll be scraping it off of you. Yeah, so
with the loud plaid, which they will be wearing during the Masters this weekend. I have one thing to say about the solder. Does anyone else do this? Jeff does this a lot and just drives me absolutely nuts. So where he's soldering and he gets in the extra stuff and he like flicks it off and it splatters onto the.
I do that. Yeah.
Why do you do that? Why, George?
You have to.
You got to.
Because if you get it on the end of the iron, then you've just got a big glob of stuff and you're going to smear it around. And, as you're soldering things, you might melt a little insulation or something, and that gets mixed in with the solder, and it's just the solder's no more good. So you should flip it off in the trash can so it can melt a hole in the plastic trash bag.
Right. And set the paper on fire.
Right. Yeah. But some people do it on the floor. I've got carpet in here, so normally, no, I try not to do that.
And listen,
you
if
are
you
a
really
good
want to
man.
be a professional, you need, if you don't have one of those third hands deals, okay, you hold the soldering iron in one hand and you hold the component in the other hand, whatever it is you're soldering, and then you hold your solder in your teeth, and then when you touch it to the soldering iron, if you've got a little ground loop, exactly. See, you'll be singing "You Light Up My Life." Rather exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. The only problem is when you're holding solder in your teeth, it is hard to strip wire.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
follow us for more tips.
Too. I mean, yep. That's why you get a pet. Like, here, Rusty, bite this. Oh, well, yes, we do have some great tips here. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. I have completely lost it. First, just again, on a serious note, thank you, vets. We love you so much. And it's really amazing to hear all the stories I heard today on HF. Appreciate everybody's service and all the different branches and everything you've done, whether it was in 1952 during the Korean War or during Iraq Desert Storm, or while there was nothing going on. It doesn't matter. You guys served our country and you did an awesome job and you rocked it. So we love you for that. Okay, let's go over some nets. We have 38.15 for the 75-meter net. Yay, Steve is back. Thanks, Steve. And thank goodness you don't have to be on a fire call this evening. We have the 40-meter net on 71.92 or thereabouts. Look around. We have D-Star on 14 Charlie and DMR on 31.012. Gordo, to you, my friend, thank you for your service as well. We'll take it around the horn, and then we'll let somebody wrap it up here.
All right, Amanda, say again, 75 meters, 18 what?
38.13
Got it.
is the last I saw.
Okay, 30. Say again, I doubled.
3.813.
Oh, 38.13. Got it.
Yes,
all right.
sir.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for coming on the air, as we did also for Veterans Day, and we salute all of you veterans. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your service. Back to you, Amanda.
Thank you, Gordo. Let's see who. Don, final thoughts.
Just a huge thanks to everybody who wore the uniform and wears the uniform. Also, Tyler's sister. Of course, we adopted him. His sister, one of his sisters, was in Iraq in the Army, and full battle rattle. This one, let me tell you something. Whew! Utmost respect for everybody who wears and wore the uniform to help us remain residents of the freest nation and the greatest nation on the planet. Amanda?
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. George?
And I want to say the same thing, thanks for your service to all the veterans out there. I'm sure it's not an easy job, and a lot of these people just step up to the challenge and don't think twice about it. I remember, I was just 2 or 3 years too young to have been involved in Vietnam, but it was close enough that it was on my mind. And, a lot of young men went to that war and fought as well. And they came home and they didn't get the welcome that maybe, previous generations had got. So to the veterans of all wars, salute.
Absolutely.
Salute.
If I hadn't been a fat and nearsighted kid, I'd have probably been flying jets for the Air Force. I wanted to go in so bad, but too much around the gut and my nearsightedness just kind of kept me out of the sky. But man, just utmost respect for all of our military, and again, a huge thank you, Amanda.
Absolutely, thank you, everybody out there, men and women alike, and we're never gonna forget about everything you guys do for us. Thank you.
Exactly. All right, listen, before we get out of here, we have to think about the folks over in Florida who are enduring Hurricane Ada. Will this hurricane season ever stop? My Lord. Anyway, so all our best go out to those guys and all of the military and first responders who are keeping everybody safe over there, and of course all of the linemen who are going to be coming in and putting things back together. So we salute all of you on this Veterans Day. And with that, for Bob and everybody else here, and Victor back in Petaluma, and of course our friend Joe Walsh with the theme song, and Leo Laporte for giving us the bandwidth, we say thank you all very much. Happy Veterans Day. God bless our military, and we will see you next week here on Ham Nation. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Want more TWiT? Well, check out Smart Tech Today. It's at twit.tv/STT. It's the show where Matthew Casanelli and I cover everything there is to know about smart tech. It's automation, it's connected devices, it's smart home, it's all those goodies and so much more. We get the news, we get the latest devices, we do reviews, everything. You gotta check it out, twit.tv/STT for Smart Tech Today.